Welcome to the back,
to the back,
to the back,
to the back
podcast.
I'm Sarah.
I'm Dakota.
Yeah.
And this is technically our first video.
Yes.
Technically not, because we've already recorded this week, but
that didn't go well.
We fucked up.
It's a trial and error.
Trial and error. All the best things. Nothing happens perfectly on the first time, right?
Except for you being born.
And that's what we're talking about. Me being mixed. Perfect segue. Already.
Yeah.
Into it. Only 20 seconds in.
Sure.
Maybe. I don't know. I'm not even looking.
Yeah. I don't know.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I don't know. We released at 9 a.m.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I guess, yes. When
Good
you
morning.
hear the
How are
podcast,
you?
it'll be good morning.
But yes, this episode, this spectacular. This is the fourth episode, I think, actually. I just realized that. Like, official one?
Yes.
And it's about me being mixed. The reason that's significant is because 4 is my lucky number.
Yes.
We're a lot of happy-go-lucky, but this is going to be an episode about race.
Wait, did you say we were happy-go-lucky?
I know. I said that we're being happy-go-lucky.
Oh,
I'm just saying, no, this is going to be
that is not our general state of being.
We're going to touch about sensitive topics in this episode.
Yes, it's Black History Month, so
that's why we're recording it too. It is Black History Month.
Yes.
Shout out all my black people. But as we've mentioned before, and now you can tell, we do look similar, but there is one big difference that you can tell right away. I have blonde hair. You have blonde hair too, technically. No, my hair is normally black. But yes, I am black in the skin. And white.
And I am white in the skin.
I don't know. This was awkward.
Yeah,
What was it like? What was it like raising a black man in America during the early 2000s, mid 2000s? I mean, you're still raising one, but you know.
Yeah.
Without the biological father, because that dude went to get some milk, and I am still lacking calcium.
Never. No, I'm not. I don't even know what's fucking weird.
Where's my milk, man?
You're weird.
Where's my milk?
Okay. Yes, Dakota's father has not been involved since conception.
Since conception, I never know that. I always just tell people he was out of the picture, but was it? It was before I was born. He left, right?
So, I mean, there's not a left. We didn't live together.
Removed himself from the picture.
Yes, he removed himself from the picture with expedience.
Nice word there.
It was before I got pregnant with Dakota. He was begging me to move in with him. He I don't know. It was just all of this. I want to be with you, blah, blah, blah. And then I got pregnant and I was like, well, now I should probably move in because we're having a baby. And he had come over to my parents' house and I think that was their first time meeting them. Yeah. And my stepmom asked a lot of questions that probably did feel like an interrogation.
Yeah.
I realize that now in retrospect that a white woman.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that.
Asking a lot of, and I would say old white woman, but what Dakota doesn't know is his dad was significantly older than me.
No, I do know
older
that.
Than I realized that he was older than me. So they were actually probably the same age, my stepmom and him. So yeah.
Well, no, I was gonna say because I was again listening to Logic's podcast again, but it reminds me of when he was talking. He mentioned his father all the time, right?
Yeah.
And his dad is back in it's the whole thing. But what is it after he gave birth to Logic or whatever? Logic was born. He got a paternity test because it was he's a lot lighter than him.
Yeah.
And then he got a vasectomy, and 30 years later he had one in the chamber and put out another child. So it's just crazy.
That is crazy.
But it just I don't know.
But anyhow,
yes.
When we left that evening, we were supposed to go to dinner and all this stuff, but we went to a local lake and we had this chat, and it went from, again, before I was pregnant, I want you to move with me. And then in this conversation after he left, he was like, well, I don't know why we have to rush any of this. It's not that you don't have to move in right away. It was very evident that he did not want anything to do with
He already had kids prior, right?
Yes, he already had kids. I've never met them, but Yes.
Yeah.
And after that conversation, he dropped me off, and that was it.
And still no
He
contact.
saw Dakota once when Dakota was like just barely a month. Because his sponsor made him. I met his dad in the program.
My daddy was a crack addict that I do share with Logic,
Yes.
among other things.
I'm not. That was not my drug of choice. My drug of choice was alcohol and pot.
23 years strong.
Yeah. Well, longer for pot, but yes.
Yeah.
So I went the whole pregnancy by myself. I mean, I lived with my parents. And I moved into my own place about a month or two before Dakota was born. So it was just most of Dakota's life, it has been him and I.
Yeah.
And
I feel like obviously a lot of the majority of this episode will be from my perspective as being the black person.
Yeah.
But I was just curious, like, I mean,
it was a wake up call as far as like, I didn't think anything of having a mixed child. I didn't.
And like, how did you? I feel like your perception of race in general had to change.
It
right?
did change, yes, and I want it noted.
You thought about every day.
I gravitated greatly to black culture as far as like music and entertainment. It just was something that my soul loved so much.
I mean, she sings beautifully.
I don't appropriate black culture, obviously.
That is her naturally curly hair.
But I don't know. I just really loved R&B and rap and hip hop and soul.
She is Mark. We are walking with Mark.
So Marquette. And I had a lot of black friends growing up. So I thought I knew stuff. I didn't. Yeah. I realized really quickly by the time because I remember being in like at the post office and someone asking if you were my kid.
Oh, it happens all the time. We'll get into that all the time, but I mean, obviously we've mentioned him before, but my stepdad, Andy, who passed away, he was white. And so even before that, but especially after they got together, are you adopted? Are you adopted? And it's crazy because, again, I think I denied it when I was younger because I just wanted to be an individual. I don't know why, it's stupid. But aside from me being black and like other man features, we look like I'd be your child. And then like the only thing that really stumps you is the skin color.
Yeah, you have some of your dad's features in your face, but Dakota looks so much like my dad. It's like really uncanny how much he looks like my dad.
I think, yeah.
And I look a lot like my dad. Obviously, when I'm thinner, it's even more apparent because he got my heart-shaped like jawline and
yeah.
So again, I didn't have a clue. I was not prepared at all for what he was going to experience and what I was going to experience as far as fearing for his life, just existing. That was it. I learned by the time you were. Was Trayvon Martin when you were in middle school, or were you still in elementary?
I think I was just
leaving elementary. It was then that I realized and because of social media, that I realized I grew up with a white narrative. And what I mean for that, for every black person watching and listening knows exactly what I mean when I say that. But for the white people, what it means is I'm a white person that grew up, even though I grew up in very diverse neighborhoods, I still look at things from a white perspective. It's not conscious. It's just an is. And I didn't have to, like, when Dakota started driving, I had to have a talk with him about what to do if a cop pulls him over. That was not a talk that was had with me. I was told just don't speed. That's what was told to me. It was never like, don't get a ticket. And they meant don't get a ticket by not speeding. They didn't mean don't get pulled over just because of the color of your skin. That is not a conversation that had to be had with me. And it's just things like that I was not aware of. Again, even though I had black friends and I was immersed in black culture, I was really ignorant. And a lot of that has to do with what we're taught in school and what we're not taught in school. It wasn't until
Yeah.
my,
They're still not teaching
adult,
enough,
yeah, until adult
especially in
years.
Texas.
I've had to purposely seek out and educate myself.
Which I feel like everybody should just
Well,
seek
yeah,
out.
everybody should, but also that we should be teaching our actual history
Yeah.
in schools, So I didn't expect so much fear. I mean, like, and naturally as parents, especially mothers, I mean, that's all I know because that's what I am. When Dakota was born, my heart became outside of me. And so my heart has walked outside of me for 21 years. And I think that is a very natural thing for mothers. There's just your mortality becomes very apparent when you give birth. When something has lived inside of you, you've grown it, and then you birth it. It's just all of a sudden I was terrified of dying in a way that I had never been before. And then it became terrified of something happening to him. And I mean, I do have OCD and a lot of trauma and other things that contribute to that fear, but it's still a very real fear for Black parents and their children and themselves. At least I don't have to worry about it as much for myself. I have to worry about it for him. So that was just it's a thing I get really angry and sad about.
Yeah.
Okay, so your perspective of being a Black man in America.
And that's what I want to touch on. I think I want to start from, obviously, my younger years to, I guess, middle school, early teen years to, like, now, 21. But before I start, I want to make it apparent that the perspective I'm coming with is, yes, a Black man in America, because sometimes I'll get into later, I've been perceived as Hispanic, especially here in Texas, but mostly when you look at me, you see a Black man. But yeah. I can only give the perspective of a perceived Black man, and also mainly just I am mixed. I know I am lighter skinned, and I acknowledge that there are advantages in that. While I do have severe disadvantages as a Black man in America, I have a lot of advantages that my fellow Black men or Black women, or just Black people, or people of color in general who are darker than me have it worse. Unfortunately,
yeah.
There's colorism is a thing. It isn't apparent. But I just wanted to address that. So as far as race, literally when I think of race as like when it pertains to me, when I was younger, it was just like stupid stuff like, oh, my last name's Jackson. I like being Michael Jackson. I'm black and white like Michael Jackson, which is very problematic, but weird. I'm not gonna spell the joke, but if you get why I'm saying that, yeah. I mean, I remember like, oh, I like Barack Obama, and like I think part of it was because he was black, which is fair. Which is fair. Like at first I was like, oh, why are you only liking him because he's black? That's dumb. But then, no, it's not. That was the first time a Black man was put in that position. Yeah. To succeed, in politics or whatever, but and then like I said, I mentioned before, when I was younger, not now, but like my favorite rapper is Lil Wayne, who's black, and your favorite rapper was Eminem, who's white, stupid stuff like that, and then like you mentioned me years ago, what's his name? As far as like superheroes are concerned, like seeing like,
oh yes,
my favorite superhero is Spider-Man. I don't think I have any Spider-Man related things, but I mean, favorite superheroes were masked people who could be black.
Yeah, his two consistent over the years have been Spider-Man and the Hulk, and
it's mainly Spider-Man now, but yeah, it was Spider-Man, the Hulk, who like Spider-Man masked up. It could be anybody under that mask. The Hulk, he's just a green monster, man. Like. He's not. I mean, yes. Both of them are canonically white, but when they are superheroing and saving the day, they could be anybody. And otherwise, it was mainly white protagonists.
Yeah, the reason he's bringing that up is because I read W. Kamau Bell's
W. Kamau Bell
book when you were in high school. Yeah. And there's a part in that book where he talks about those being his favorite superheroes as a kid, and it was because again they were masked and they could be anybody. And I thought that was interesting that subconsciously those were what Dakota gravitated to as well. And it made sense. I mean, also like Spider-Man and the Hulk are cool, but
Yes.
I'm just saying, it's something that I don't think white kids think about or
No.
have like because
Because stuff, I
representation
mean,
is there for
it's always
us.
catered to, and like I said, it's
Yeah.
mainly white superheroes. I mean, you think about the whole Band-Aid uh
Oh
thing.
yeah.
I mean, they make different shades of Band-Aids, but I mean, that was just something like it was automatically a lighter skinned
Or like the
thing.
fact that nude is like not even most white people's color of skin,
Yeah.
but it's definitely more leaning towards that, and how just malicious that feels that you name nude and it's like
Oh my God.
predominantly that color.
I just thought of something that I feel like I mentioned to you, but I was just thinking about race when I was younger. Eventually, like my race, like it's always been apparent to me, especially that I am black and white. I mean, duh. I look at myself in the mirror and I look at my mom. Um, but like it never really affected me until like I was a little older. But the point is, I think the first time I was called N word was in Wisconsin. It was
Yeah.
second grade.
Yeah.
We lived there for a year, and so like that was apparent, obviously then. But even before then, I feel like I've told you the story. I tell my friends this all the time because it's horrible and fucked up now, but it's funny to me too because I can look back at it. I think what was it? It was either first grade or kindergarten. Because it was when I was at that elementary school. I don't want to name the elementary school, but you know what I'm talking about, right?
Mm-hmm.
Our teachers like we were like sitting in like a reading class or something, and they pointed to the white kid, and I don't remember why this brought up. It's so stupid, like how this was brought up, but there was a white kid. I don't remember what it was, and race was. We were talking about race for some reason. She pointed at the white kid and said, "He's like regular milk." Pointed at me and said, "He's like chocolate milk," and pointed at a darker kid and said, "He's like dark chocolate milk."
Ew.
That was brought up when I was in first or kinder. Now, yes, it is
Why?
Texas, but it's just like it was so like there were random things like that being called the N word. Obviously, when like parent teacher or stuff like when you came, I get questions. That was like when it was like made apparent when I was younger, and then towards like middle school, obviously the Trayvon happened, and like later in elementary, Barack Obama, like my race became more apparent to me, and I started actively caring more about it, especially seeing the injustices in the world, and then especially in high school, obviously that was a big thing. I mean, another big subject is, I mean, I don't think anyone truly knows their real voice. It's something we talked about in theater, but the whole idea of code switching is big and sounding white because I've been told I sound white on like PlayStation parties or just were in cases where they don't know my race yet or they know my race and then they hear my voice for the first time, which is so weird. And you can get into so many things about what is talking white because a lot of it they think, oh, you talk with proper grammar, which is so stupid.
I mean, no, you know what it
And it's
means.
like accents are so different around the world. Who's to say a white American accent is a proper accent? You have so many dialects in America, just alone dialects in states or even dialects in cities. It's so
Yeah.
stupid not to get to accents all over the world, and then the languages on top of that. It's so dumb. But like that was made apparent to me. It's something I deal with. And then like a big thing also like throughout school was just the whole mixed kid lunch table idea where like I'm not white enough for the white kids because I don't look white, but I'm not black enough for the black kids. But I identified, but I related a lot and felt deep into the culture of specifically Mexican, but Hispanic culture because we are in Texas and a lot of my friends growing up were
Yeah.
Hispanic or are Hispanic. And so I felt like I remember telling you all the time that I was like, oh, I'm Cuban because I just felt like I was Cuban. Like I felt like I had to be because I was like so deep into that culture. And when I found out I wasn't, it was a big shock. Found out I was more Irish than she is.
True.
Um, but you know, like I couldn't sit with them because I didn't feel true. Like, because I'm not Hispanic. And it just get kind of like I feel like your identity is so not to be ironic, but mixed. And then the mixed friends I have, they share the same sentiments that like they don't really know what to. Um, identify with. And like the whole idea of like standardized testing and like marking what race you are and ethnicity. And it's just so, it's like, it makes you like, things you shouldn't have to stress about, you do. And it's weird. But I
Yeah.
think the biggest area where it was, I didn't expect it to affect me so much was, as we mentioned before, dad out the picture. And I think partially because she did such a good job filling that role, I never really felt that longing as others do of wanting the father figure. Obviously, I felt it. But I think it was greatly suppressed by how well you did being a single mother. But where I feel it most in missing that father is missing my black side. Because
Well, yeah, there's nothing I can do to
there's
replace
nothing,
that.
she did as much as she could. She like I said, she is Mark. Like, she like raised me, and she like gave me as much black culture as she could, and that she knew of. And then I found some obviously on my own. Just being a black woman in America is just gonna happen, but I'll never truly like have the black side of my family, you know.
Yeah.
Um, and so that's something that if I miss anything, it's that for sure. Um,
I mean, I hate that. Like, I hate that a lot. I hate that I have no way of giving that to you.
which like it shouldn't be your responsibility, and I hate
I mean,
that.
it kind of is. I'm got pregnant by him. Like, I could have looks better.
Don't victim. But yeah, no, don't make yourself. Yeah, no.
Like, I didn't really give you I gave you culture as far as music and entertainment,
Yeah,
and I made sure you knew about your hair.
yeah.
But I didn't do too well on the cooking side.
You can cook.
I can cook, but I cook okay for a white person. Let's be honest.
She knows that to use seasoning.
I do not, yes. But I know there's so much, like, just because, like, I, from personal experience as a woman, when I get together with other women, there is something special that happens, that bond that you feel.
Yeah.
It's different than when you're hanging with a bunch of guys. Like, so of course, when you're with your black friends, you're going to get to experience something that I will never be able to give you.
Yeah.
And none of my family will ever be able to give you. Well, I mean, Seth and Zachariah and Sierra.
Yeah. I mean, we actually do have. I do have other black family members on
Yeah.
her side. But I'm talking about like just like from the black side of me. Which out of Nigeria, we came second in the AFCON. I am Nigerian. So unfortunate.
Yeah. Sorry.
No, not unfortunately. I'm Nigerian. Unfortunately, we came second. Sorry.
Oh, I was like, what?
Yeah. No. Yeah. That sounded. I realized how that sounded.
Um,
But I mean, now with my race, I mean, I love being mixed. I love the side that you gave me, and I love the side that he gave me, even though he wasn't there. And
yeah.
it feels like he didn't want to give it to me, obviously, because of that. But it's, I think my identity is something I'm always gonna, I don't want to say struggle with, but think about, mull over.
I can't relate as far as like, well, race is a construct, so, invented by white people. But
I mean, yeah, technically we are all was African because
right.
the Pangea theory, we were all born near the equator, and the further you move away from the equator,
The less
ergo
melanin.
Europeans,
Yeah.
you get lighter.
Right.
You get lighter.
What I can relate to is because my family is so fractured growing up, there's so much about my history that I don't know. Like, and so I have spent, and then also being very neurodivergent and still and feeling very apart from society. And also being a woman, like I can relate to the struggling with your name a woman, Sarah. I'm gonna name myself. I can struggle to the struggling with your identity and not knowing like who you are, because again,
yeah, God, if it was a like reverse and like it was a black woman who left and she was a white man, I don't know what we would share in common. Because what is the like? I'm saying like white man is the easiest in America. You know what I mean?
He wouldn't understand your struggle.
You can share a struggle.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, unless you just happen to be
if he was non-straight, then we could share a struggle.
Or if just a really good ally.
Yeah.
Like, he might not be able to empathize.
All that to say, you being a woman, you can
to a degree. It's not the same at all.
It's the same. Yeah, it's not the same at all. But you can. It's easier for you to grasp an idea of what I'm feeling or what I might be feeling.
I'm gonna tell you, and you know, I'm so caught up on current affairs, especially where Black people and other situations are concerned, and I'm angry a lot of the time, and I don't like.
And that's the thing. It's another thing between our generations. I think this is only where it's concerned for when it pertains to Black people, but me and a lot of people around my age, like I said, I use the word numb all the time. I don't think that's a good word.
It's apathetic.
It's apathetic of just seeing it continuously happen. And so it's not, because sadly, I mean, everyone grew up with it. I mean, the LA riots was a thing. And even before then, slavery, Jim Crow, all of it, like every generation since the dawn of America, slavery has been since the dawn of America. Technically, every generation has grown up with a Black man, a Black woman, Black people, people of color being put down in America. But I'm saying my generation, because of social media, because I think we have better access to see it, we grew up with it more in our faces.
Yeah.
It was plastered right in front of us. And so it's something we're sadly used to. Which doesn't mean we should be complacent at all. That's not what I'm getting at all.
My point is, it isn't even Black people's jobs. I just really want to make that very clear. It is white people's jobs to right this wrong. It is our jobs to do as much as we can to get to where everyone is actually equal. It is, anytime I get to feel like it's too much, I do put myself in the fact that it is a privilege for me to turn off my phone or turn off a TV and not have to witness that and not have to experience it because I am white. If I were Black, that would not be a luxury that is afforded to me, you know? So I understand why, when a lot of these police killing Black people, when you see them being harassed in the store by a white woman
so many times, profiled in the store.
Yeah. Jesus. I understand why Black people don't want to watch it. They live it every day. It is trauma. It is continual trauma. Every Black person in America, at least, is suffering from PTSD. There's just, that is just a personal opinion. There is no way you couldn't. There's no way you couldn't. And so when I start to feel like I'm overwhelmed or frustrated, I'm like, I have to bear witness to this. I have to speak up because that is my privilege as a white person, and that's what I should be doing. You know, I am not a safe white person, and that means Black people knows what that means. And I don't mean I'm not safe to them. I'm not safe to other white people. You cannot say stupid things in front of me that are racist, misogynist, whatever, misogynoir. You cannot say those things for me and think I'm going to let it slide, because I'm not. That's what I as a white person can do. It's the least I can do. There's more that I can do, but I'm just saying it's the least that as white people, start checking your family members when they say dumb things. Think about what is it when Denise was retelling that story and said the N-word.
Yeah, her mother-in-law.
No, my stepmom. I don't know why you said mother-in-law. Well, mother-in-law was racist too.
Whatever. Yeah. I was just thinking, just like, I get so exasperated, and I'll never stop being angry. I'll never stop wanting better for our world.
Yeah.
Not just our country, our world. Because I do want to have children one day, and but I was just thinking about my race, and that's another factor I think about, because I do want to be in a weird sadistic way, I think, because either my father figure, I've had poor father figures, or they've died, or they've just not been there. It makes me want to be a father even more, and a good one at that, a great one at that. but it's something like I don't know if I mentioned to you, but like who I choose to be my significant other is like a big when it should just be about who I fall in love with. But in the back of my mind, it will be what race is she? Because will I be giving my child a black experience?
Yeah.
Because if like if they're mixed, it's like well like what are they mixed with? How black will they be? Like that's a big thing. Like, how black are you? And that's something I ask myself so many times, and then I'll have to ask my children. Not like I literally ask them, but like I'll be thinking about because like it goes back to the thing like I mentioned before. Like I grew up in the early 2000s. I grew up with Green Day. I wore Converse. I wanted to have a mohawk. I did have a mohawk, but I wanted to straighten my hair. I love Tony Hawk. Like all
Yeah.
these canonically or not canonically, these perceived to be white things, I love and still love, loved and still love. And so like, but it made me question my blackness slash whiteness slash ethnicity, race, and like I don't. It's this weird dichotomy because I just want to say, who cares? Like, who cares? But race does matter. What you grew up does matter. There is culture in that.
Well, I feel
And I
like
think
it
we should celebrate
matters.
those cultures that you do have. But because I am mixed and because literally half of me is gone, I've become so not confused, but I was like, it creates so many interwoven, connected lines that are hard to figure out.
So race shouldn't matter, but culture should matter. That I think that's the way it should be. Because
Yeah.
again, race isn't real. It's something that white people made up. But culture should matter. Um, it's hard for me. I see it a lot on Twitter. I didn't I did expect racism to not to the level that he has experienced. I didn't expect it inside of the black community.
Yeah, there's a
Like the
big,
way that I see mixed people being talked about
that is a
in the
big one.
black community is
And that's another thing I want.
in the white community
I'd like
too.
to take this just as
Yeah.
the residential black person. Um, there is colorism, and it goes both ways. In that, I do acknowledge again because I will always acknowledge this because I've experienced it firsthand. Being the lighter of my friends when I'm around my black friends, I get advantages. I get treated better, nicer, which like I get presents that internal struggle within the black community of colorism, and then also like being mixed in general. It's just like I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, I'd love to experience my culture, and my culture is a mixed man in America. My culture is a black man in America. My culture is also white. My culture is Nigerian. My culture is Irish.
Yeah.
I'd like to go to Nigeria. I'd like to go to Ireland. Um, and find more about my culture. It's just everything is so face value because you just see a person of color when you look at me. You don't see what I'm mixed with.
Well, you just don't see your interest
Yeah.
and you want to put a label on those interests and put it in a category and that is what is so
And I mean, like, no one likes to be put in a
inherently
box.
well it's just it's so inherently wrong in our society is that we need to have a label for everything and a box and category for everything and people just really aren't that way. They just aren't
No.
in real life. I mean, you maybe there are some
Some people
people.
don't even know who they are until like past 50.
Well, yeah, like I mean, I didn't realize I was autistic until I was in my 40s. So, I mean, you're still you should always be growing and evolving and changing, but I'm just saying like white people did themselves a disservice by forcing people when they, were first immigrating here to adhere to and assimilate to this vanilla mayonnaise blandness instead of allowing them to just celebrate their actual cultures like being Italian and Irish and Polish and German and Norwegian, whatever they were expected to assimilate to their idea of what is white, I guess, and what they considered to be perfection. And a lot of white people lost their culture because of it. I don't know anything about being Irish or English, or like a good percentage of my heritage is from Spain and that area. I don't know anything about that because my ancestors washed that away, you know, and they and in turn tried to force that onto Black people as well. And like, here's what you're going to be. And they do it to Mexican people. Here's what you're going to be. But if you don't hear to what, you know, we want you to be, it's not acceptable. And I just will never understand that. Just let people exist as long as they're not hurting themselves or others, you know, just let them exist so that they can breathe and be happy.
Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, as much as you, obviously, but we're all going to be, what is it, Jesse Williams? Who is it?
Jesse Williams.
We're all going to be, everything's leading towards a bunch of non-descriptive, non-ambiguous tan people.
Well, I mean, yes, I would love to not be so pasty.
Again, like, I wouldn't bring up, don't have a mixed kid because you want to have a mixed kid because you think mixed kids look weird. It could look nice. That's weird. That's Get Out vibes. That's creepy.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Being mixed is weird. I'll say that. But being mixed is cool. I'll say that too.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
It's weird, and there's so much that like I think about that like gives me anxiety or stress. But there's so much that I like is cool being mixed. I don't know.
I don't have anything to speak on that because I'm not mixed.
Like I have other friends who are like mixed with more stuff than I am, and I know they deal with, I don't say even more, but just different struggles than I do because there's like different culture clashing, you know, between other races is different. So I'll never know what that's like.
I think
I'll never know what it's like being a mixed woman. I'll never know what it's like being a Black woman.
Yeah.
You know?
Sure.
I think you can only focus on yourself.
I was gonna say also, as like white people, stop asking people where they're from. And then when they tell you where they're from, no, where are you really from?
And don't touch Black people's hair.
Yeah. Don't touch anybody's hair.
Yeah,
it's
don't
weird.
touch anybody hair. It's weird. Don't touch people.
Don't touch people without consent.
Don't touch me.
Yeah.
No touch me.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I don't know. We can talk about is there any, do you feel like that you had any representation growing up?
Being mixed?
Or Black, yeah.
I mean, like I said, like Barack Obama was like a thing, but I mean, Spider-Man, I mean, eventually when they made Miles Morales, that was a huge accomplishment, I think, especially because he is mixed. I actually don't think there's that much mixed. I mean, there is, but it's not talked about mixed representation in media. Because
I think there's more now.
There's more now, but I still don't think there's enough, in my personal opinion, just because, or addressing that they are mixed. Like, what is it? Damian Wayne's mixed, like I mentioned, from DC Comics, but just like, I think it's important to like address the two sides, or more sides of you, if there are, you know.
Yes.
And address it in media. I'm trying to recall like seeing like interracial couples in media, like a lot of like rom-coms. I'm trying to think. It's usually white and white or black and black.
Yeah. I'm racking my brain.
Naming those races because that's what I can speak from. But like from like the ones I see, you know. And that sucks. I wish I could see more of like
I can think about
a black man getting a white woman, or the other way, or you know
all
what I mean.
All I can think is Get Out, and it's such a bad way.
It's the worst example. Yeah. It is your worst nightmare coming to life, and that might be why there isn't any. You know.
Well, you know they were talking. What is it? Remember? Is it Daniel Radcliffe plays Harry Potter?
Yeah.
Yeah. He was asked, you know, on the red carpet, what if he would love to do a rom-com. He's like, yes, I would. And who would you want to do it with? Quinta Brunson. And now like everybody's just like, yes, give us a rom-com with Daniel Radcliffe and Quinta Brunson.
Well, now I'm just even thinking, because there was like, you said, don't ask What Are You Really? Did you ever see that interview with and I only say this because I'm watching Parks and Rec now, but it was some interview where they're asking Rashida Jones like about her like her skin color and like how did you get like that
That's
tan or
disgusting.
something. It was
Like
crazy.
her father's Quincy Jones.
I
He's
know.
so famous. Like, and he's pretty light skinned, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, so even if is her mom white? I don't even know. I don't know because it's not like that important to me
and
to know.
It's not their job to say, "Oh, what I am," you know.
I just oh, also white people, when it gets summertime, don't mention about how dark you want to get.
Oh yeah.
It's something I learned later in life that is a trigger and offensive to Black people, and the reason why is because the majority of the time they're hated for being darker, and then but now you literally in white culture, I feel like in our race is the only one that actually wants to be darker and is seen as like a good thing. In every other race, the lighter you are, the more like attractive you're considered.
Yeah.
But except, I mean, for white people, it's very extreme. It's either really porcelain white they want to be or really tan. And those are what's considered attractive. And so it's just weird. So don't say things like that. Just say, I would like to get some sun because you need vitamin D. Because that is important. Again, we lived in Wisconsin for a year and my skin ached for the sun.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of other representation I've seen. Like I have a list because that again we will probably mention
Zendaya.
Times,
It's probably
Zendaya,
like
but I was meant like I make a lot of lists of my favorite things.
Yeah.
It's a quirk of mine. I don't know, idiosyncrasy. I don't know, but I'm just pulling like lists of like my favorite characters in media. I'm trying to see if like analyze if they like show. It's a good mix of white, non. I mean, some of these people aren't even like people.
Right.
They're like, I mean, one of them's literally Cody Maverick, Surf's Up, greatest animated picture of all time. You should watch. Who is black and white because he's a penguin.
Oh, yeah. True.
But no, I mean like Spider-Man's like a big thing. I loved Beast Boy. Beast Boy, he's my favorite Teen Titan. He could, because he's green. He could be.
Yeah.
And people, if you're like deep into the culture, like they like try to decide what race Beast Boy is. I just think it's interesting. I love TMNT. They're turtles.
Yeah.
They weren't defined by a race, you know.
Right. Yeah.
Unless you want to like say reptile.
They're green.
But no, and then this is what I kind of want. I'm glad you brought that up or asked that because just towards like the end of wrapping it up, it wasn't so like when I was 20 when I finally found something truly like that showed my story and such a great detail is the graphic novel.
Oh yeah.
It's called The High Desert Black Punk Nowhere, and I mentioned before I still am into the punk scene. Being a black person, that's something I don't think it's a scene, but I also think it's like presented because when you think of black people and culture, you think of hip hop first, and you don't think of punk. Even though I'm pretty sure black people started punk, whatever. But it's a graphic novel. It's a memoir by James Spooner, creator of Afropunk, and just like the quick description, it's a come of age story about a young man's experience with identity, racism, teen love, and belonging in remote California desert. It also explores a search of salvation and community through punk. If you haven't read it or you have any interest in being mixed, being black, punk, just a good graphic novel, check it out because it truly did change my life. And it's amazing. And just check out him in general. But yeah, it's only just as we grow as a society that I'm starting to see just now representation.
Yeah, I mean, especially, and I think we see a lot more athletes that are.
Yeah.
Was it Derek Lively? Isn't he mixed?
Yeah.
And he just had a birthday this week.
Yep. Mavs center.
Yeah.
He just came back wearing the mask.
Oh yeah.
Played out of his mind.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tag Derek Lively.
I really loved it because they did the little clip of him.
Yeah,
they did a little clip of him and how he still lives with his mom. And he was like, they're like, how is that? And he's like, it's great. I get fed and I have someone I can talk to all the time.
I'm not jealous. He's younger than me and then twice my height and makes more than I'll probably ever make.
I mean,
playing 2 minutes of basketball.
I'm jealous that he gets to know Luka.
No, that's what I'm jealous
and
of.
Kyrie.
Bro.
That's where I'd be like, yeah.
Bro, that's so annoying.
Yeah. He like gets to talk to them on a regular basis. And he gets to meet Mark Cuban, who I like. Normally I'm like, eat the rich, but he's one of the ones I feel like we could spare just because he does do so much to help.
Also, for you there, shout out the two seeing representation. It really wasn't, but Dad was in the picture, so I looked for dads in media. The two great dads for the both black and white side. Big Daddy Adam Sandler. We will not kill him in the race war. I'm saying that now. And then Eddie Murphy and Big Daddy. Two of the greatest fathers in movies.
For you?
For anybody. I don't care. Fight me.
I don't know. Michael Keaton in Mr. Mom is a pretty great dad.
I don't know why I thought Batman, but I just thought you were going to say Batman.
Because he is my favorite Batman.
Because he would be debatable. We have to have an episode about more geek shit.
Yeah.
And then honestly, when we talk about being black and liking geek stuff and especially growing up, there was a lot of that we can cover in this episode.
Yeah.
Because I was judged for that. Sadly. But yeah.
Yeah, but there's lots of blurs now.
Yeah.
You can proudly call yourself a blurred.
Shout out to blurred.com.
Yeah.
They're great.
Wait, that's a thing?
Yeah, they're at DreamCon. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I have one of their shirts.
I didn't know.
They're amazing. They do great work.
But
yeah. I don't know.
I mean, I don't really have anything else to add. You're what?
I said, I'm black, I'm white.
I thought you...
I'm black, I'm white.
I think it's something else.
What do you think I said?
I don't know. know.
I'm an Oreo. Not the golden, though. Bars.
I mean, I'm glad I had you, but it wasn't.
I am too, because I wouldn't be here.
And that's debatable sometimes. As far as, I don't know, sometimes I would wish I didn't exist. So like.
Oh, well, that got dark. I love you.
I never wish that you don't exist. You make existing worth like a lot, you know.
You hear that, viewers? I've said I love you, and she has let 15
I love you
seconds go
too.
by without saying
You know that I love you. I say it all the time. I don't think there's been a day since you were born that you didn't hear I love you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and I would say I love you because you're mixed, but like I just love who you are. Get out
thing. Yeah, don't make mixed people because you want a mixed child. That is weird.
That wasn't why I had you. You were a pleasant surprise.
Yes.
But I'm grateful for you, like extremely, and I appreciate that having you forced me to, like I said, to open my eyes to more. Yeah, like
blessing
for real.
In multiple ways.
I mean, I definitely think I would have anyways, just because I have a strong sense of justice, and I've never, again, like I said, a lot of black friends growing up. My best friend not currently is black, when she's mixed, so I get her perspective too.
But also saying that, don't think you're not racist because you have a black friend.
No, or a black kid.
And she knows that. Yeah.
Don't be a Trump and say that's my black. That's weird and gross.
I don't know.
So
I hope this gave y'all some insight on being mixed in America. Some insight.
It's very little insight, honestly. There's so many layers within every bit of our society.
Because I'm mixed, get it?
He's a parfait.
I'm biracial. I'm like Logic, you're saying I'm biracial every time.
I didn't know. I wasn't aware he did that.
I love you.
I love you.
To the back.
To the back.
To the back.
To the back.
Podcast.
We hope you keep coming back. Yeah.
Bye-bye.